is located in the Kharvachar region of the Vaikunic province of Artsakh, on the left bank of the Tartar River. According to legend, Dadivank was founded in the 1st century, when the propaganda of the Christian religion began in Armenia. Dadi, one of the 7 disciples of the apostle Tadeavos, preached in Artsakh, where he was martyred. A monastery was built on the grave of Dadi, named after him, Dadivank. According to historical sources in the 1st century, a chapel was built on the grave of the preacher martyr, and the first church of the monastery was built in its place. Dadivank is one of the largest monastic complexes of medieval Armenia. Dozens of buildings of different significance have survived here. The oldest church of the monument, dating back to the 9th century, is a single-nave basilica located on the north side of the complex, also called the Dadi Church. A small domed church is located in the central part of the monument, built in the 12th century. The church is often called a chapel because of its small size. It has a square shape and there are several hotchkars in the walls. The hotchkar attached to the inner wall dates from 1182. The vestibule is located west of the Dadi Church. Inside, hotchkars with dates 1199, 1233, and 1291 were placed or added along the entire length of the eastern wall. The bell tower is located on the south side of the vestibule. Inside, there were 2 famous hotchkars dating back to 1283, which are among the most remarkable monuments of the complex. The main monument of the Dadivank Monastery complex, Gadovike, which is also called the Holy Cross, or the Holy Church of Nishan, is an architecturally remarkable and valuable building. It has a composition of a domed hall with apses in 4 corners, quite developed in medieval Armenian religious architecture, and widely spread. With the exception of the northern facade, significant parts of the walls inside are covered with inscriptions, most of which are carved. The construction inscription is the most extensive, 19 long lines, placed in the central arch of the south wall. According to the inscription, the monument was laid in 1214 by the efforts of Arzu Hatun, the wife of Grand Duke Vakhtang of Hartek. According to the protocol, at the time of the construction of Gadovike, there were already significant buildings in the complex, which were stretched out in 2 rows on the right and left sides. The church was built mainly of light yellow reddish limestone. A small amount of sandstone is also used. Between the dome of the church there is an empty space in which large jugs and tiles were found. Pitchers, by the way, are placed to lighten the load, to save building material. In general, Gadovike stands out for the variety of facades used. On the southeastern facades, there are sculptures depicting the layout of the church. On both sides of the window of the southern facade are depicted the sons of Arzu Hatun in full growth, Hassan and Grigoris with princely belts and in hats. On the eastern wall of the church are carved the patron saint of the church, Saint Dadi and Prince Vakhtang, with outstretched hands to the model of the church. Arzu Hatun Church, with its simple architectural forms, monumental sculpture and frescoes, embodies the constructive Armenian traditions of that time. The church had 2 entrances, from west to north, but later the latter was closed with stone due to the decoration of the church in the 13th century with frescoes. The frescoes, which were soiled with dust, smoke, and candles, and became almost invisible, have been cleaned and partially restored. One of the frescoes depicts Jesus delivering the gospel to Nicholas the Wonder Worker. The Virgin Mary and the Archangel Michael can also be seen here. Some parts of the fresco were painted red. According to the inscription, it was made in 1297. The second fresco depicts Saint Stephanos preaching Christianity, but people refused to accept the teaching and threw stones at him. On the fresco, he sees how the angels of God take his soul to heaven and says, "Father, forgive them, because they do not know what they are doing." These frescoes are large-scale compositions with strong religious content. The plot of the frescoes is probably the product of the socio-political mentality of the time. The Gadovike church is relatively well studied by specialists. The large Dadivank complex can be considered a unique architectural school that summarizes the traditions of centuries-old Armenian architecture.